Hey there, thanks for tuning in to Vision, the show where we focus on the College of Arts and Sciences. I'm Lindsay Poe, your host. And on today's show, we've got Dr. Andrea Spain from the Department of English here to talk about a new film minor that's starting this fall. Very exciting news, and thank you for being here.
Oh, we're really excited. Thanks for having us.
And before we started, we were chatting a little bit about it starting in the fall, but you've already got some students ready to go into the classes in the fall too.
That's right. That's right. We've already given the core course Intro to Film Form a couple of times through the Honors College as a seminar, and so that became the kind of prototype for that Introduction to Film Form that all the minors will take.
Right.
So those students are raring to go, and hopefully a couple of them will take the minor.
Awesome. And so I'm going to get right to it, and then we'll kind of backtrack a little bit on the specifics. But why study film in college? Why get a minor?
So we're immersed in visual culture all the time. I mean, from your field here in broadcasting to social media to video games. We live in a mediated landscape filled with moving images.
Right.
And the grammar of those images began and were developed through film.
Okay.
So part of what's so exciting about taking film and why students should be interested in it is that they're already participating in the kind of ways that film organizes our perceptions. And so when they take a film class and they start to learn the different techniques, editing, cinematography, sound, they start to learn how these very deliberate choices are made in order to make us feel particular ways. And when they're able to see that, they can know how they're being affected by the images and the forms of media they participate in too.
So what type of students are you looking to attract? Because I could imagine being a student and maybe seeing the show or seeing a flyer or something, being like, oh, I like movies.
Well, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, we hope to get the student who loves movies, who kind of has always had an interest in film, but has never necessarily studied it. But we want a diversity of students. So whether, the engineering student who has always had an artistic bent, or a philosophy student who's interested in aesthetics, or a political scientist who might be interested in the relationship between art and activism. All of those students and many more would find something for them in the study of film. And taking a minor, why that's so strong is that it demonstrates to future employers, graduate studies, people who are doing admissions, it demonstrates that not only are you becoming an expert in your own field, you have a sustained and concerted course of study in a secondary interest. And I mean, they're also just practical skills. When students learn editing techniques, they learn the basics for web design, content management, video game,
and then you start being super aware of everything that's going on in media in general.
Right.
Yes.
You start to see the things that actually filmmakers want to make invisible.
Right. I'm going to skip over a question that I had about kind of the development process and talk more about what kind of classes are these students going to take, and what are kind of the basic requirements, since you've sort of touched on that a little bit?
Sure. So the one core requirement is the Introduction to Film class, and that's a 4-credit class. And a lot of the courses will have an extra credit like that because that's for films, for a lab and the film screening. So that's the core course, and then total students need 19 credit hours. And they can either do another 4 classes at 4 credits or a mixture of the 3 4-credit classes, but they can take courses like film theory, film history, global cinemas. They can take courses that are already on the books in all kinds of departments. So photography courses in the Department of Communication, but also art has their production courses. So there's a wide range of courses that students can take, and it really will depend on their interests.
So it's flexible, which is nice as a minor.
It's extremely flexible. So if you're a literary scholar, for example, so I'm in the English department, and the English department is housing the minor. If you're a literary scholar like I am, a lot of students are going to be interested in, say, film adaptation. So they'll take the film and literature courses, or maybe they'll take a course about changes in form of the novel. So Dr. Ben Harvey in art teaches the graphic novel, which is actually developed out of the film form and the practices of storyboarding.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
He knows the history better than I do, so I didn't misspeak.
And so this is interdisciplinary.
Absolutely.
So before we take a break, can you talk on what the development process was like in a cooperative way? I mean, that had to have been getting a lot of people to be on board, which can be a lengthy process.
It was a lengthy process, but a really, really energizing one. So the film minor, the conversations for the film minor first actually developed out of gender studies. So there were several gender studies of scholars who were working on the Feminist Film Festival that MSU and the college puts on, the College of Arts and Sciences puts on every year. And so when we, that involves a process of gathering films and deciding what we're going to show and selecting them. As we did that, we started asking ourselves questions. We've got all these people specializing in film, all these amazing scholars at Mississippi State who are publishing in film, they're teaching film courses. A lot of people are teaching special topics courses because there aren't the formalized courses that we'll have now. Right. And so it's really exciting. Students can now say, oh, look, this course over here, I'm focusing on documentary film. Okay. Can this be a part of the minor? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, so there was a need for it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there was no formal course of studies for students prior to this. And we said, why not? It's there for the taking, let's do it. And then we started scaffolding and building the structure for it with the introductory course. Dr. Jenna Altamonte in art constructed the film theory and history course. I did the intro course, and Dr. Melanie Lowing in communications was constructing all of these descriptions of what the film minor should do, what our goals should be.
Very nice.
And how we can reach the widest possible body of students.
Right. Okay, wonderful. Really good information. We're going to take a really quick break, and we'll be back with more with Dr. Andrea Spain.
Our world is changing. The way we work, the way we connect, the way we see things around us. At Mississippi State University, we're agents of change, creating our own bright futures, solving real problems, turning challenges into possibilities, and lighting the way to a whole new world of emerging markets. Through MSU's new state-of-the-art Center for Entrepreneurship and Outreach, we're collaborating across campus, sharing perspectives and resources of multiple disciplines to power dreams. But we're so much more than dreamers. We've launched hundreds of student-led businesses, earning millions in revenue, and impacting our state's economy in new and creative ways. We're the next generation of business leaders, and we're ready for a changing world. How do we know we're ready? Because we're the ones changing it.
Hear the echo down the well where my heart once hung. Hear my name ringing when I'm done. Hear my name ringing, hear it ringing. Hear my name ringing.
Imagine the flu as something children read about in history books. We are at Mississippi State University, where we ring true.
Thanks for sticking with us. We're back with Dr. Andrea Spain. She's here to talk about the new film minor that starts this year, the 2019-2020 school year. Very exciting news for students across campus, I'm sure. Speaking of exciting, what do you think is the most exciting thing for students who are going to study film?
I think that it of course depends on the student, but there's all these different ways in which kind of light bulbs go off for the individual student. So whether a student might be turned on really by learning film theory and thinking about critically, what does it mean to have a gendered presence on screen? Right. Women are filmed and presented differently than men, right? What happens when we frustrate those expectations of binary gender logics, and how do we do that filmically? So some students are just really excited to think, wait, there is a systematic kind of way this is happening, and how can we work to transform these? To what extent are they being transformed now? So it might be at the interpretive level like that. Students are really excited to learn about the history of film techniques. Students also kind of really light up when they decide to take up the camera themselves.
Yeah,
and so
that seems daunting.
It's so interesting because I love being around filmmakers and young artists and people who, I mean, they're just artistic and they are willing to take these kind of risks. So for the courses that I had the pleasure of teaching in the Honors College, 2 student groups have already produced films.
Oh, okay.
Short films. One is a short documentary called Harmony and Healing. Emma Denson directed it, and this was with Joy Karina, Shanika Musser, and others. And hopefully they'll submit this to the Magnolia Film Festival.
Yeah, that's so neat. I was going to ask you if there's kind of a buzz around campus with film and filmmaking, you know, a student group kind of a thing. You kind of touched on that. There's already interest with the students.
Students are already making film all over campus,
Yeah.
and they're sometimes doing it individually, sitting there. You know, they know more about editing than I do. You know, they're the kind of sound editing that the most recent group did. They did a narrative film called Duet. You know, they had remarkable use of sound because this was about these kind of chance meeting of, or not quite meeting, of 2 pianists on campus in the practice rooms. It's a really beautiful film. So they're learning all this stuff about sound, and they're experimenting, and it's daunting, and they get super stressed out right before the deadline, but it's also so much fun.
Yeah.
The productivity of constraint in filmmaking is part of what makes film so exciting. So the light's not quite right, so what can we do? We have to do this.
Yeah.
So it prompts them to experiment, and it prompts them to do and try new things, which I think is really brave and just creative and great.
What's your background as a film scholar? What made you say, yeah, I really want to get involved with this?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked. It's actually related to my previous question, or the previous answer. I was surrounded by filmmakers at SUNY Buffalo. I did my PhD at the State University of New York at Buffalo. There were groups within the community, this little strange space called Squeaky Wheel, where they got sound equipment and cameras, and they gave each other workshops. And some of those people were affiliated with the university and some weren't. So there was that buzz you were talking about. So there is a new student group that's emerged in, out of the Department of Communication. Melanie Harris, an instructor in the department, is the faculty advisor. That kind of buzz is what got me interested in film. I was also the curator for an International Women's Film Festival for the Gender Institute at Buffalo. So although I'm a literary scholar and a comparative scholar of South African literature and culture, I was surrounded by all these people.
Yeah.
And so it grew organically. My interests
That's amazing.
then went cross disciplines.
That you'll get to pass it off to people here in our college and at our university. That's
well,
wonderful.
I'm excited for it. I feel very, very humbled.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. Very exciting for the new film minor that's starting this year. We'll see you next time on Vision.